Welcome to Big Idea Hardly, where you can learn something new in just a few minutes. Today we study together Neil Irwin's The Alchemists, 3 central bankers and a world on fire, in which we probe into how 3 central bankers navigated the financial crisis with unprecedented actions that reshaped the global economy. Neil Irwin is a Washington Post columnist and economics editor of the Post's Wonk blog website. He lives in Washington, D.C. In the throes of the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis, 3 central bankers, Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve, Jean-Claude Trichet of the European Central Bank, and Mervyn King of the Bank of England, steered the global economy through turbulent waters. Their innovative monetary policies and decisive interventions were instrumental in averting a complete economic collapse. The crisis began with the collapse of the housing bubble in the United States, leading to widespread defaults on mortgage-backed securities and a liquidity crisis. On August 9, 2007, BNP Paribas' suspension of withdrawals from 3 funds marked the crisis's onset. Jean-Claude Trichet, vacationing in Saint-Malo, recognized the situation's gravity and orchestrated an emergency intervention, with the ECB offering unlimited liquidity to banks to prevent a financial system freeze. Bernanke, Trichet, and King faced unprecedented challenges as the crisis deepened. Bernanke's understanding of the financial accelerator theory guided his bold measures, including cutting interest rates to near zero and implementing multiple rounds of quantitative easing, QE. QE involved purchasing large quantities of financial assets to inject liquidity into the economy, lower long-term interest rates, stimulate borrowing and investment, and support asset prices. Trichet, meanwhile, navigated the complexities of the Eurozone crisis, balancing competing interests of different member states. His decisions to provide liquidity support and lower interest rates were pivotal in preventing the crisis from spiraling out of control. Mervyn King, initially conservative, recognized the need for aggressive action as the situation worsened. The Bank of England cut interest rates and implemented its own QE program, purchasing £200 billion of assets. A significant moment in the crisis came in September 2008 with Lehman Brothers' collapse, sending shockwaves through the global financial system. In response, the Fed, ECB, and Bank of England coordinated efforts, establishing currency swap lines to ensure banks had access to necessary funding, maintaining international financial system stability. Throughout the crisis, the central bankers faced intense criticism and scrutiny. Their decisions were controversial, with some arguing they bailed out reckless financial institutions and others believing their actions were too little, too late. Despite this, Bernanke, Trichet, and King remained committed to preventing a complete economic meltdown, setting a new precedent for central bank intervention during crises. The long-term impacts of their actions are debated. They succeeded in averting a global depression and stabilizing the financial system, but their policies led to unintended consequences, such as increased income inequality and asset bubbles. QE, in particular, has been criticized for disproportionately benefiting the wealthy. The central bankers also had to navigate the political landscape, facing resistance from politicians and the public. They had to communicate their policies clearly, explaining the rationale behind their actions and the potential consequences of inaction, requiring economic expertise, political acumen, and leadership. One key lesson from the crisis is the importance of central bank independence. The ability of the Fed, ECB, and Bank of England to act decisively and independently was crucial in their response, though it sometimes led to tensions with elected officials and the public. The crisis highlighted the need for a balance between central bank autonomy and accountability. The role of central banks in the global economy has been redefined, with the actions of Bernanke, Trichet, and King becoming a reference point for future crises. Their willingness to innovate and adapt expanded the central bankers' toolkit, but also raised new questions about the limits of monetary policy and the potential risks of unconventional measures. Ben Bernanke's testimony before Congress, Jean-Claude Trichet's leadership in the ECB, and Mervyn King's eventual support for aggressive measures at the Bank of England are enduring images from the crisis, demonstrating the critical role of central bankers in times of economic turmoil. Reflecting on the crisis and its aftermath, it's clear that the actions of Bernanke, Trichet, and King were pivotal in shaping the global economy's trajectory. Their decisions prevented a deeper and more prolonged economic collapse, but also exposed the limitations of monetary policy and the need for comprehensive financial regulation and oversight. The legacy of the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis and the central bankers' response will influence economic policy for years to come. As new challenges and crises emerge, the lessons learned from this period will guide future responses. The courage and innovation demonstrated by Bernanke, Trichet, and King remind us of the critical role central bankers play in maintaining economic stability and fostering prosperity. Reflecting on the actions of Bernanke, Trichet, and King during the financial crisis reveals the complexity and gravity of their roles. One particularly striking story involves Bernanke's decision to initiate the first round of quantitative easing. Amid mounting pressure, he faced intense criticism from various quarters, yet his commitment to stabilizing the economy remained unwavering. This story underscores the immense responsibility shouldered by central bankers and the courage required to implement controversial policies. The decisions made by these three central bankers reshaped the global economy, setting new precedents for central bank interventions. Their innovative approaches, particularly the use of quantitative easing, demonstrated the necessity of bold action in the face of unprecedented challenges. However, the crisis also highlighted the need for robust financial regulation and the importance of maintaining public trust in financial institutions. As we move forward, the lessons from this period will continue to inform economic policy. The courage and leadership of Bernanke, Trichet, and King remind us that central bankers are not just technocrats, but pivotal figures in safeguarding economic stability. Their actions during the crisis will serve as a benchmark for future generations of policymakers, guiding them through the inevitable challenges and uncertainties of the global economy.